So, let's talk about the 30-second commercial. It's this tiny little window of time, right? A total sprint of storytelling, a flash of persuasion that's got to grab you instantly. But here's the thing. With that much power comes a huge responsibility. So how do you find that sweet spot between being super creative and, well, being truthful? All right, let's get into it.
And really, it all boils down to this one big question. I mean, forget the sales pitch for a second. Think about it. How do you actually make a real connection, tell a whole story that hooks someone in, what, less time than it takes to tie your shoes? That's the art we're going to dig into first. You see, the challenge isn't just about being quick. Anyone can be quick. It's about being memorable, right? Punchy, powerful. So let's break down what a really killer script actually looks like.
Okay, so this blueprint might look pretty simple, but trust me, every single step is critical. First up, tell a story, not a sales pitch. We're all hardwired for stories, right? It just works. Then you've got to nail that opening line. It is everything. It has to grab your viewer right away. Next, you have to be absolutely ruthless with your word count. We're talking under 80 words. Every single word has to earn its spot. And finally, you got to time it. Like actually read it out loud. Make sure it fits perfectly in that 30-second slot with a little breathing room for the logo at the end.
And this slide just nails the difference perfectly. Over on one side, you've got this super flat, forgettable line, ABC Plumbing is Denver's leading plumbing contractor. Zzz. It's a sales pitch, plain and simple. But then look at the other side. When my dad founded our company in 1976, boom, instantly you've got a person, a history, a story. Which one makes you lean in and want to know more? Yeah, it's not even a competition. That right there is the power of a great story hook.
So here's the thing, and this is really the heart of it. Getting good at this 30-second story stuff, it gives you this incredible power to build a brand. But what happens when that power goes wrong? When the story you're spinning isn't just creative, but it's also, misleading. This is the exact moment our whole conversation pivots. We're shifting gears from the art of persuasion to the absolute non-negotiable need for truth.
And when that line from persuasion to deception gets crossed, that's when organizations like the Advertising Standards Council of India, or ASCI for short, have to step in. You can basically think of them as the watchdogs, the referees. They're there to make sure the stories advertisers are telling us are not just clever, but also honest.
So what exactly happens when that line gets crossed? And listen, this isn't some abstract theoretical problem. This is real. It's happening every single day in all kinds of industries, and it's affecting millions of people. So let's actually look at the numbers.
Get this, in a single month, this was back in April 2018, ASCI's Complaints Council upheld complaints against a whopping 89 different ads. Let that sink in. That's almost 3 misleading ads getting called out every single day. That number alone just shows you the sheer scale of what we're talking about here. So where is all this happening? Well, just look at the breakdown. The number one offender? Education, with 34 complaints. Right behind it is healthcare, with 24. And think about that for a second. These are 2 areas where trust is just everything, right? People are making huge, life-changing decisions based on these ads. And these are the very places where they're being led astray the most. It's pretty serious stuff.
But to really get a feel for this problem, we need to go beyond the numbers. We need to look at some actual examples. Like, what does a misleading ad really look like? What does it sound like? Let's break down a couple of real cases that ASCI had to deal with.
All right, let's kick things off with a classic. One of the most common violations you'll see, just good old-fashioned, over-the-top exaggeration. This is basically when a really creative story makes a promise that the product has absolutely no way of keeping.
So this was an actual claim from a big smartphone company. And just think about the words for a second. Biggest sale ever in the history of India. Seriously? ASCI took a look and, no surprise, found there was 0 data to back that up. It was just pure hype, Designed to make you feel like you had to buy right now. It's a story, for sure, but it's a false one.
Okay, and now for something that's maybe even more dangerous, the kind of misleading claims you see in healthcare. This is where false stories can really prey on people's hopes and fears, and the consequences can be, well, pretty serious.
Check this one out. It came from a weight loss clinic. It's like the perfect storm of promises, isn't it? Super specific, super fast results, and get this, no medicine, no surgery, and no side effects. But when ASCI looked into it, guess what? The claims weren't backed by any real clinical evidence. They were selling a dream, basically, without any proof and just hoping people wouldn't know any better.
And as you can see here, there are a ton of ways to mislead people. It can be blowing things way out of proportion, or just not having the facts to back up what you're saying. Sometimes it's about deliberately taking advantage of someone's lack of knowledge. Heck, even just using a logo the wrong way to make it seem like you have an official stamp of approval. Yeah, that crosses the line too.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem, but what's the solution? How do we build a world where you can be creative and responsible at the same time? Well, ASCI actually has a pretty simple but really powerful framework for this.
And this is it, right here, the foundation. It comes down to 4 key pillars. Honesty, just tell the truth. Decency, don't be offensive. Responsibility, be mindful of your impact on society. And fairness, don't go trashing your competition unfairly. And look, these aren't rules designed to stifle creativity, not at all. They're the very things that build real, lasting trust between a brand and, well, all of us.
So this kind of brings everything together. We started by talking about the art of telling a fantastic story. Then we dove into the dark side, the dangers of telling a false one. So what's the takeaway? It's not stop telling stories, no way. It's start telling better ones.
And at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to. The real challenge for anyone making an ad isn't to see the truth as some kind of boring limitation. It's to see it as the raw material for the most powerful story you can tell. Because a story that's engaging, that's memorable, and that's true, that builds a kind of connection that a million exaggerations never, ever could. And that's both the art and the responsibility of the 30-second story.
So I'll leave you with this question. Whether you're someone who makes ads or just someone who watches them, and let's face it, that's all of us. We all have a part to play in this. So I'm asking you, how are you going to demand better stories? How will you push for stories that aren't just clever, but are also true?